When you learn how to make this shift in your own life, I promise you, you're going to get one step closer to your goals. And what is that shift? What is that change that you need to make? Well, it's a shift in your identity. And most people don't know how to even do that. Well, I want to make sure that in today's episode, we talk about some specific keys that can really help you out. But first, let's go back. Why do we need to shift our identity in order to make a change? Whether it is to reach our fat loss goals, whether it's to have a better relationship goals, whether it's, to have a career, whatever the case may be, whatever your goals are. Let's first go back a little bit. So first off, the 3-step formula for having success and creating your goals is very simple. 1, you have to know what you want. What are your goals? But don't just say, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? Like, have clarity. Like, what does that mean? I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to get off my medications. I want to run a 5K or a half marathon. I want to, have more, sex drive. I want to have more confidence. I want to be able to take my shirt off at the beach, right? I want to be able to play outside with my kids and not feel winded. I want to be able to inspire other people to make a positive change in their health. Think about that. That is crystal clear rather than just seeing the number on the scale go down. So that's the first little tip is when it comes down to goal setting, you need to have clarity. What are your goals? Plain and simple. And be clear on that. The second thing you need to understand is why do you want to have success at achieving your goals? Like, why do you really want to, accomplish your goals? And it goes hand in hand with having clarity because if you have crystal clear, right, and far as what your goals are, and you have a deep-rooted why, so it's not just vanity reasons if we're talking fat loss, for let's say money reasons also, right? If you're trying to, acquire more money or get a better job or anything like that, maybe it's not just to have more money sitting in the bank, Maybe the deep-rooted why is, more freedom, financial independence, maybe less stress. Maybe it's also so that way you can give back to others. Hey, I want to make more money so I can, tithe more at church or donate more to different charities or be able to take my, my kids and my spouse on a nice vacation and not have to worry about it, So it's just like when you have a deep-rooted why in terms of having success at achieving your goals, it makes it better to stay more disciplined. If you don't have a deep-rooted why, it's very easy to fall off the wagon. There's going to be so many different distractions and curveballs thrown your way where, hey, that deep-rooted why is going to make you stay, 1 foot in front of the other and having success and having, achieving your goals. But the last thing is always the most important thing, is very hard to do. And that is, who do you have to become? And that's that identity shift that you need to make. And hopefully in today's episode, you have some key points, right? Some tips on how to make that identity shift. So who do you have to become? Let's say you want to, lose body fat, for example, right? So, hey, maybe you need to get healthier. Maybe you need to, have somebody hold you accountable. Maybe you need to be more diligent when it comes to your training. Whatever the case may be, right? It's these habits that this individual has. And this is why I like doing different mindset techniques like meditation, because I cannot worry about the past and not worry about the future. And I can just focus, right, in the present moment, but just clear my head of all the thoughts. And really say, okay, if and this is where it's kind of like reverse engineering as if you already achieved your goals. It's like, okay, hey, if I want to, have this body or have this career or have this lifestyle, whatever the case may be, what would it be like if I already achieved it? How would I act? What would I be doing differently? Who would I be hanging around with? Anything like that, right? What would be different about my life? And reverse engineering it. Because when you can get kind of clear on that, it makes it so much easier to understanding who do you have to become. The biggest thing though, right, in this transition of who you have to become is usually an identity shift. And I'm going to give you guys 2 big tips here that can really change your life when it comes to shifting your identity. The first one is externally, and the second one is internally. So let me talk about the 2. Externally, and that is your environment, so to speak. So Les Brown said it best. He's a motivational speaker. He said, birds of a feather flock together. If you hang around in life with losers, you will become a loser. If you hang around in life with winners, well, guess what? You're going to become a winner. This is why at Heartletics, we put such a huge emphasis on our community groups, right? There's so much support in there. There's hundreds of guys in there, all encouraging one another, really helping each other through the hard times, supporting each other through the good times, everything like that. And why do we always recommend that dive right into the community groups right from the get-go? Why do we always say that? Well, we know that it's going to have that internal identity shift. I'll say it like this. If I was hanging out with, let's just say, a bunch of basketball players, and let's just say I'm not even good at basketball. Like, I don't know anything about the sport, right? And I never played before, and I don't know anything. And I'm hanging around with all these basketball players. They're talking about, like, how they dribble the ball, what they do to practice their free throws. They're talking about, the NBA and, like, the different sports teams, all this stuff. Talking about three-pointers and, free throws and, driving to the lane and one, all this stuff, right? I bet you anything, if I just sat down and talked to those guys every single day for, let's just say, 2 weeks, by the end of those 2 weeks, I'll have a pretty good sense of, knowledge on basketball. Now, better yet, if let's just say those guys are also out there playing basketball, right? And they're like, after those 2 weeks, right, of just sitting down and talking with them at the coffee shop, they're like, hey, Joe, why don't you come play with us? You're always, talking to us, why don't you come play with us? So I go there, and let's just say I'm horrible at it at first, right? Because I understand, right, how to play the game, but also I've never really played before. Well, these guys are showing me, who's been playing for years, how to dribble the ball, how to shoot the ball, different moves, all this stuff. I bet you anything, right? Like, after a few weeks, I'm going to get better. After a few months, I'm going to be a lot better. After a few years, I'm going to be an all-star because I surrounded myself with those people that, hey, they already know about the game. They already played the game. It's their craft. And I'm putting, right, myself into their comfort zone. Think about that. That's very key. That's a golden nugget that I want you to pick up. I'm taking myself, right, in my own comfort zone, out of my comfort zone by surrounding myself with these people that are playing basketball, talking about basketball religiously, and I don't know anything about basketball. I never played before. And then we're over, at the courts. We're actually physically playing basketball. We're not just talking about it anymore. And once again, I'm taking myself out of my own comfort zone to this situation where we're just talking about it, to now this situation we're actually playing about it, and I'm surrounding myself with those people that it's their comfort zone. It's their comfort zone. And I'm getting better. I'm learning. I'm expanding to where after a year, that's my comfort zone now. That's how powerful it is when you surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And the community groups at Heartletics, it's no different. These guys are out there, they're working out. These guys are out there, they're supporting each other. These guys are out there, they're encouraging each other. They're talking about nutrition tips. They're doing like whatever they can to just put more value into the sense of, those around them inside the community. And so for the new members that get signed up, we always recommend they just dive right in. And it's always one step outside their comfort zone, typically a big step. They don't really know these guys. Maybe they haven't really built up those relationships. Might feel a little awkward at first. But trust me, it gets so much easier, once again, right, week over week, as just like learning about basketball and then just playing the game of basketball, right? It gets so much easier. So the first thing that you can do to really shift your identity is, let's say, like, hey, you want to lose body fat. Surround yourself with a bunch of guys that are in shape. Surround yourself with a bunch of guys that are talking about working out, talking about eating healthy, talking about, being a better leader. Surround yourself with those guys. Because when you shift your identity, right, and you step outside your comfort zone, and next thing you know, hey, you're in a whole different environment, it's going to make it so much easier. It's a really good cheat code. For example, I'm in a bunch of different, mastermind groups, and I got different business coaches and mentors, and I'm always looking to invest in myself. Why? It's not like they have like different techniques and different strategies. No, it's because they have the knowledge, and knowledge is power. And so I'd rather pay to play to say, hey, let me just sit at your table and just observe everything, right? Let me sit at the dinner table. Let me be quiet. I'll eat my food, and I'm just taking notes, listening to everything. Because guess what? These guys have different thoughts. These guys are speaking differently than how I'm speaking, And so it makes me, as a business owner, level up because I'm acquiring that knowledge. And remember, Knowledge is power here. So I'm stepping outside my comfort zone to get that, to fast track the way to success instead of a bunch of trial and error. So remember, tip number 1 is externally. Step outside your comfort zone and change your environment. They also say that you become like the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. So if you're hanging around with a bunch of broke friends and all they do is spend money on clothes and materialistic things and living up for the weekends and partying and alcohol and that's it, you're going to become like that person subconsciously, whether you like it or not. So it's just like, be very careful of who's in your inner circle and who are you choosing to spend the most time around with. Now, the second tip is internally, and this goes with how you see yourself. And this is why I'm a big fan of meditation, because it helps you get into that flow state where you're not worried about everything else that's going around out there. It's just you're in the present moment, you're at peace, you're calm, and you can really start to think. And I think the biggest thing about meditation that it's been teaching me is that when I get into that deep meditated state, right, I'm more focused on what can I do from a heart place rather than a head place. And that's very key that I want you to understand. How do I see myself from my own heart? Not just how I see myself from my own head. Hey, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? But from the heart, it's what can I give out more? How many more lives can I change? What more value can I give out there into the marketplace and help out, right? Like, it's 2 different perspectives. And when you get your heart in alignment with your goals, I feel like that's when doors really start to open up. That's when opportunities you start attracting into your life. And we're going to be talking here soon about the difference between intention and desire, because there's a huge difference that once again you start learning about how just these different mindset techniques and how to really focus on shifting your identity and focus on shifting your mindset, you can really start creating the life that you want. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm not gonna say it's gonna snap your fingers, it's gonna happen overnight. No, it obviously takes practice, it obviously takes a lot of work, but just like anything, the more you do it over time, just like Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Outwitting the Devil, repetition is the mother of all learning. So with meditation, it might be hard in the beginning. With affirmations, it might be hard in the beginning. With visualization and scripting, it might be hard in the beginning. But guess what? These different techniques that I just shared with you, these are ways that you can shift your internal experience, how you view yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you saying like, oh man, I'm out of shape? Or are you saying like, oh man, I'm feeling great. Today's going to be a great day. I'm confident. I'm happy. I love myself for who I am and who I'm becoming. I'm in the best process of becoming the best version of myself. I'm in the process of becoming the best version of myself. What are the words that you're affirming to yourself? That internal relationship, that matters the most. I mean, honestly, like a lot of people want to attract love into their life. Well, guess what? It's hard to attract love into your life if you can't pour out love out. And if you can't pour out love to yourself, how can you really help and love others? That's just the way that I think about it. So it's just like having that internal shift, it's hard. But at the same time, you need to do it. So if you want to make a drastic change in your life and get one step closer to your goals, 2 identity shifts that you need to make. External, which is surrounding yourself with like-minded people that is already where you're trying to get to. It's your environment. And the second is making that identity shift internally. How do you view yourself? What different techniques can you do as far as, let's say, meditation or scripting or visualization, as if you already had success at achieving your goals? What is that person? Who is that person? How do they act? How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they think? What are they doing differently with their habits? If you can focus on that and bring that to the present moment, right? And start living your life like that and making that internal identity shift and how you view yourself and that relationship that you have with yourself and start improving on that, I promise you, 6 months from today, you're going to be a completely different person. A year from today, you're going to be a completely different person. So put this into practice, And if this is something that you've been struggling with, hey, let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. If you're watching this or hearing this, on Spotify or, let's say iTunes, send me over a message, contact me, Facebook, Instagram, go to heartletics.com, whatever the case may be. Let me know, because once again, when you have the right people in your corner helping you and supporting you, it makes it so much easier. So hopefully you guys got some value from today's episode. And as always, this has been Coach Joe with the Heartletics podcast. Talk to you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.